Hello, good morning. I am Susan. This is Come Back Yoga. It's a level 2 class, and we'll be starting in just a few minutes. You can lay out your mat. That's all you need. It's just a mat. And we'll be moving forward and back on our mat. We'll be starting seated, and we'll do some stretching and get up and do some standing balances. We'll do some strength work, and um, then we'll rest at the end. It's pretty standard. And um, if you've never been to a Comeback Yoga class, Comeback Yoga is a nonprofit, and we offer yoga classes to people who have military service in their background. Um, if you don't have military service in your background here on YouTube, of course, you're welcome to be here. Um, but if you do have military service in your background, you could go to our website, comebackyoga.org, and find out more about places that you could practice. There are more options available to you. You could take an in person class, join our newsletter, just find out more about us and how to join the community a little bit more if that's something that you're interested in doing. You can also just take our live stream classes, and you can um, come visit us on YouTube anywhere from where you are. You can come to YouTube and take classes just for you. We start right on the hour. And um, if you have any questions, you can type them into the chat. But I might not see them until the end of class. So if there's anything pressing, just kind of roll with it, see how you do. And you don't need anything for the class, and I'll give you all the stuff you need, all the instructions. So that's where we're headed. I'm going to sit so you can sit with me. You might see that I've put my mat against the wall. You could also put your mat against the wall if that was something you want to do. I like to have my mat against the wall because then I can use it for extra support, balance, or just support feeling kind of where I am. If I start to lose a sense of where my head and my rib cage, my pelvis, and my leg are in alignment, I can just kind of touch the wall sometimes and get a little bit better idea about that. You can sit any way you want to, put your hands on the tops of your legs. We set up our space. You've moved your mat around how you want it, and maybe you opened the window or closed the window or open the door, close the door. And so you set up your physical space and you're in your physical space. Now notice your body and how you're placing your body, and maybe notice sensations of your body. In other words, do you have any parts of your body that you want to give extra support to? Do you have any parts of your body that you want to pay particular attention to? Maybe your back is sore, or maybe you want to stretch your shoulders, or maybe you feel like you're a little bit tight in your hips. Might be different things going on with you. So acknowledge those things and notice them, and give yourself the time to do that now. Just keep breathing, noticing and paying attention to your body. I'll go to a more subtle place, an internal place, and notice what your thoughts and your emotions are like. Notice what you're bringing to your practice. You've got your space that you're in, you've got your physical body, and then what are you bringing with you along to your practice? Uh, how do you feel? What's your energy like? Do you feel tired, fatigued? Do you feel peppy? However you feel, that's for you to pay attention to right now. And that realization, that acknowledgement will help you make choices about how you want to practice. You can use that like your guide. And before we start moving, put your hands together and sit up tall, and ask yourself, what do you want to get out of your practice? Why are you here? What do you want? And that also can help guide your practice, help you make choices and decisions about the way you want to practice. You might not know why you're here. It's okay. Maybe you just have kind of like a general, I want to practice. Maybe you want to try yoga. Maybe you just don't want to do something different. And once you've got that more or less sorted, you can put your hands on the tops of your legs and roll through your shoulders a couple times. We're just going to move different parts of our bodies to um, get a little bit more warmed up. So I'm teaching this in the morning. Maybe you're taking this class later as a video. Whatever you do, always nice to warm up a little bit to say hello to your shoulders and your hips and your spine. Well, let's move in rotation. Turn from one side to the other side. You can just place your hands on the tops of your legs as you turn. Then wrap your arms across your shoulders and draw circles with your torso around. Couple in first direction that you chose, and then couple in the other direction. Take your hands to your opposite elbows, lift your forearms up toward your forehead, stretch through your shoulders, bring your elbows back behind you a little bit. Then take your hands to your opposite elbows, lift your forearms up toward your forehead, stretch your shoulders, elbows come out to the side, bring them back behind you a little bit. Hands to your opposite elbows, lift your forearms up toward your forehead. Elbows come out to the sides, pull your elbows back slightly. And wrap your right arm up and over. Your left arm comes around behind you. You can bring your hands towards each other on your back and swing your arms around. Other arms on top. Reach around behind. Your arms come out in front of you. Wrap your left arm underneath your right. Hold your opposite hands or your opposite shoulders. Take a big circle around with your torso. Unwrap your arms. Right arm under left. And take a big circle around with your torso. Then go around the other way. Unwrapping your arms. Stretch your arms out to T. Lift your rib cage, lift your gaze. Exhale, curl. Put your hands together out in front of you. Inhale, lift your arms overhead, then bend your elbows and point your fingers down behind you. Stretch your arms overhead and release your arms down by your sides. Turn your palms up in your lap. Take a big inhale and stretch your hands. Fingers, palms. Exhale and curl your fingers into the centers of your palms. Inhale and stretch your hands. Stretch your palms. Sit a little bit taller. And exhale and curl in. Tuck your chin. Curl your spine. Inhale and rock forward. Come onto your hands and knees for a table. Tuck your toes under. Let your hips move back toward your heels. Walk your hands forward and lean forward in upward facing dog. Roll over onto your toes and stretch into your first downward facing dog. You're lifting and lowering your heels, pedaling out your feet. Bring your knees down to the floor. Lean forward in upward facing dog. Tuck your toes under. Let your hips move back toward your heels. Lift up and lean forward. Upward facing dog. Pull back in the downward facing dog. Lift and lower your heels. Paddle out your feet. And knees back down towards your mat. Bring yourself up to kneel. Bring yourself around into the middle of your mat, shifting weight onto your right knee. Step your left foot forward. Coming into this kind of architectural, you've got a 90-degree angle at your front knee, 90-degree angle at your back. Take both arms and reach both arms forward. Turn your palms up, settle your shoulders down. Then bend your elbows and put your hands back here on the tops of your shoulders. Your hands might not do that. Your elbows might not do that. Your shoulders. You could just have your hands on the tops of your shoulders and point your elbows wherever it makes sense for your shoulders to use your sensibility of your body. Listen to sensation. Lift your rib cage, lift your gaze, point your elbows wherever they're pointing. And bring your torso forward. Sweep your arms back behind you. Your torso comes on the inside of your front leg. Inhale to lift up. Bring your arms forward, turn your palms up. Bend your elbows, put your hands on the tops of your shoulders, help settle them down, and point your elbows wherever they point. Wherever it makes sense for you, maybe you're pointing your elbows in a different direction this time. Exhale, bring your torso forward. Sweep your arms back behind you, just unwrap them, unroll them, reach them up towards the ceiling. Let's do one more. Hands on the tops, arms out in front, palms forward, up towards the ceiling. Then bend your elbows. Put your hands on the tops of your shoulders and point your elbows wherever they point. Tilt forward, your torso comes on the inside of your front leg. Your arms reach up any amount. Release your arms down, lift your torso. Then walk your hands forward. Place your hands on the floor and lean forward into your front leg. Particularly stretching the front of your back leg. And walk your hands back. We're coming into half splits. Your left heel, your front heel is on the floor, toes up. You can tilt forward like this, or you can lift and then hinge. Lift your torso, step back to kneel. Sweep your arms out and up and overhead. Exhale and point your fingers straight down behind you, elbows pressing in towards your sides of your head. Lift your arms up, your arms come down. Put your hands down onto your mat, walk your hands forward in upward facing dog. Pull yourself back into downward facing dog. Lift and lower your heels, paddle your feet, move your hips, and then bring yourself into plank. Plank is like the beginning of a push-up. Your arms are straight. Spread out your fingers. Press back through your heels. Both knees down. Lift yourself to kneel. And step your right foot forward. Inhale, sweep your arms forward, palms facing up. Put your hands on the tops of your shoulders and point your elbows wherever they point. Forward, straight up, anywhere in between. And tilt forward. Bring your torso forward on the inside of your front leg and sweep your arms up towards the ceiling. Inhale to lift. Arms forward, palms up. Bend your elbows, hands on the tops of your shoulders. Point your elbows wherever they point. Your torso comes forward. Your arms roll up to the ceiling. Inhale, lift. Arms forward, palms up. Bend your elbows. Put your hands on the tops of your shoulders. Wherever your elbows point, that's where they point. Tilt forward. Torso comes on the inside of your front leg. And your arms reach up. Inhale to lift, arms forward. Exhale, your hands come down and lean into your front leg. Walk your hands back, and we're in half splits. You can stay low like this, or you can lift and then hinge. You're hinging at your hips. And try to keep the natural curves of your spine. Lift your torso, back to kneel. Interlace your fingers. Place your fingers underneath your chin. Lift your elbows as you inhale. Exhale and curl your fingers, and your elbows come towards each other. Press your chin into your fingers, flatten out your palms, lift your elbows. Exhale, let your elbows come down, soften your body, curl your fingers in. Let's do one more. Inhale, your elbows wing out, help your rib cage expand. Press your chin softly into your fingers, stretching your fingers in your hands. And exhale, your elbows come down, curl your fingers softly. Unlace your fingers, bring your hands down towards the floor. Walk your hands forward. Stretch yourself in an upward facing dog. And pull back into downward facing dog. Lift and lower your heels, pedal out your feet. Walk your feet towards each other and step your left foot forward in between your hands. Your back heel comes down. Lift yourself in a high lunge. Bring your arms forward, palms facing up. Sweep your arms forward and overhead. Put your hands on the tops of your shoulders. Lift your elbows, lift your rib cage, lift your gaze. Bring your torso forward on the inside of your front leg and sweep your arms up towards the ceiling. Inhale to lift. Glide through, hands on the tops of your shoulders. Lift your elbows, lift your gaze. Tilt forward. Your torso comes on the inside of your front leg. Your arms reach up. Let's do one more. Inhale, lift. Hands on the tops of your shoulders. Lift your elbows. Glide through. Torso on the inside of your front leg. Sweep your arms up. Inhale to lift. Straighten your front leg and tilt into pyramid pose. Inhale to lift your torso. Step forward into one-legged balance. This is a long-legged dancer pose. So lift your back leg any amount. Step together at the top of your mat. Inhale to reach up and out and hinge forward. Put your hands on the floor and step back to plank. Knees on the floor, lean forward, upward facing dog. Pull down into downward facing dog. Once you're in downward facing dog, give yourself time. Stretch out. Notice your back. Check back in with those things that we did at the beginning of class. We observed our environment. You can observe your environment wherever your eyes are gazing, or notice with your senses. You can hear things, you can see things, feel things. And notice your body. If there's any parts of your body that you want to pay extra special attention to. And notice your thoughts and your emotions, your energy, your more subtle self. Step your right foot forward in between your hands. Your back heel comes down and lift yourself into high lunge. Sweep your arms forward, palms up. Inhale to lift. Put your hands on the tops of your shoulders. Lift your elbows any amount. Really, your elbows could be put down. It's just all up to you how you want to work with this position, with this pose. Then tilt your torso forward and roll your arms up towards the ceiling. Inhale to lift. Put your hands on the tops of your shoulders. Lift your elbows. Exhale, tilt forward. Your torso comes towards the inside of your front leg and your arms reach up. Inhale to lift. Hands on the tops of your shoulders. Lift your elbows. Lift your rib cage. Lift your gaze. Tilt forward. Your torso comes on the inside of your front leg. Your arms reach up. Inhale to lift. Then straighten your front leg and tilt into pyramid pose. I have my hand on my front leg. Keep a little tiny micro bend in my front knee. And if you want to adjust your back leg, you can always just adjust. Just because you placed yourself, because your feet are in a particular position, doesn't mean they have to stick there. You can change. You can change your mind. You can readjust. Give yourself subtle um, variations, opportunities. Bend your front knee. Lift your torso. We're going to step forward into long-legged dancer pose. So stretch your arms forward, step forward, reach forward, lift your back leg, take your time. And then if you're bouncy today or not very bouncy today, give yourself a break. It's fine to be however you are. Great job. Stepping together at the top of your mat. Inhale to reach up and out. Hinge forward. Put your hands on the floor. Step or hop. Make your way back to plank. Knees down and curl your body over your legs and rock from side to side. Bring yourself to seated. Bring yourself to kneeling. Sweep your arms forward and up. Hands from the tops of your shoulders. Lift your elbows. Curl over your body. Sweep your arms back behind you. And put your top of your head on the floor. This is the very top of your head, and it's a very light, super light touch. Just hovering above the floor. Hands down on the floor. Lift your torso. Sweep your arms forward. Hands on the tops of your shoulders. Lift your elbows. Lift your gaze. Exhale, curl in. Sweep your arms back behind you, up towards the ceiling, and place the top of your head. Just graze it very lightly onto your mat. Place your hands on the floor. Lift yourself all the way up to kneeling. Sweep your arms forward and overhead. Backs of your shoulders. Touch them with your fingers. Walk your fingers down, middle of your back. Lift your elbows. Lift your gaze. And soften. Put your hands back on the floor for a table. Tuck your toes under. Move your hips back toward your heels. Pull up into cat pose. Hips back toward your heels. Glide forward into cow pose. Hips back toward your heels. Pull into cat pose. Hips back toward your heels and glide into cow pose. Hips back toward your heels. Pull up and walk your hands forward and stretch one leg back behind you. Lift your back leg. Bend your knee and open. Your leg turns and becomes parallel to the floor. Glide your left knee down towards your right knee, and then bring your left leg straight out to the side. Left knee down, all the way down. Stick your right leg long, back behind you. Float your leg long, bend your knee, and then open and square. Bring your right knee down towards your left knee, and then bring it straight out to the side. Both knees down. Tuck your toes under, hips move back toward your heels. Walk your hands forward, lean in upward facing dog, and pull back into downward facing dog. Stretch your left leg long back behind you for three-legged dog. Curl your left knee underneath you and step it forward. In between your hands, back heel comes down. lifting into side facing warrior, kind of more or less facing to along the side of your mat. Glide your arms out to T. Bend your elbows. Put your hands on the tops of your shoulders behind you. Lift your elbows and lean back. Inhale to lift. Open your arms and stretch in a triangle. Inhale to lift. Put your hands on the tops of your shoulders. Point your elbows up and lean back. Inhale to lift. Release your arms and stretch in the triangle. Do one more. Lift. Put your hands on the tops of your shoulders. Point your elbows up and lean back. Inhale to lift. Release your arms and tilt in the triangle. Inhale to lift. Push your hands forward. We're stepping into one of two poses, either long-legged dancer or long-legged dancer stretching into balancing warrior. You step forward and stretch. Walk back just a little bit. Lift your back leg, or you can start to tilt forward and stretch your body into balancing warrior. Gradually start to bend your standing leg. Your floating leg steps together at the top of your mat. Inhale to reach up and out and hinge forward. Put your hands on the floor and step back to plank. Knees down. Stretch forward in upward facing dog. And pull your hips back. Curl your body over your legs and rock from side to side. Inhale to lift. Stretch yourself in a plank. Left knee down. Plant your left hand underneath your left shoulder. Turn it open. And stick your right leg in the air for quarter moon. Your right leg comes down. Both hands down. Stretch back into plank. Your right knee comes down. Your left heel comes down. Plant your right hand underneath your right shoulder. Turn it open and lift into quarter moon. Left leg down, both hands down, both knees down. Curl over your legs. Slide forward, upward facing dog. Pull back, downward facing dog. And step your right foot forward in between your hands. Back heel comes down, lift your torso into side facing warrior. Put your hands on the tops of your shoulders. Point your elbows up, lean back. Inhale to lift, straighten your legs, and stretch your arms into triangle. Inhale to lift, bend your front knee, hands on the tops of your shoulders. Point your elbows up and lean back. Inhale to lift, straighten your limbs, extend into triangle. Inhale to lift, hands on the tops of your shoulders, elbows point up, bend into your front knee, lean back. Lift and straighten into triangle. Lift your torso, push forward, your back heel dials up, and we're stepping into one of those two poses. So you step forward into long-legged dancer, step forward and lift your back leg, or you can tilt into balancing warrior. Great job. Step together at the top of your mat. Inhale to reach up and out and hinge forward. Put your hands down. Step back to plank. Knees down. Lean forward in upward facing dog and pull back into downward facing dog. Pull out your feet, move your head around, and walk your hands and your feet towards each other in the middle of your mat. Hang forward and forward fold. Put your hands on the fronts of your shins, lengthen your spine. Bend your knees, sit down in a chair pose. Arms overhead. If you want, you can do this. We've been doing this for a while now, putting your hands on the tops of your shoulders and point your elbows wherever you want to point them. And stand up, arms down, roll through your shoulders. You're in the middle of your mat, stepping your right foot forward and your left foot back and coming back into a high lunge. Bend your front knee, sweep your arms forward and up. Put your hands on the tops of your shoulders, lift your elbows. Exhale, unfurl, take your hands down towards the mat. Step forward onto your front foot and lift your back leg, any amount. So standing splits, it might not look like standing splits or even kind of like feel, that's what the pose is called. You're stretching, you're letting your torso hang down towards the floor, stretching your back leg up towards the ceiling. Breathe, breathe, breathe. Let your floating leg come down. Step together at the top of your mat. Inhale to half lift. Exhale, full fold. Put your hands on the floor and step or walk. You could do kind of hops back, finding your plank position. Step back in a plank. Hinge into downward facing dog. And walk your hands and your feet towards each other in the middle of your mat. Hands on the fronts of your shins. Sit down in a chair pose. You can do anything you like with your arms. Overhead, hands on the tops of your shoulders, pointing your elbows up. Sit back. And stand up. Release your arms. Shifting weight onto your right foot. Step your left foot forward. Coming into front facing warrior. Glide your arms forward. Put your hands on the tops of your shoulders. Lift your elbows. Unfurl your elbows. Put your hands on the floor. And step forward into standing splits. So your back leg lifts any amount. Both of your knees might be really bent, or your top leg might be really straight. Your standing leg might be straight-ish. Your torso is coming down towards your front leg. So let your head hang forward towards the floor. Slowly let your floating leg step next to your foundation leg. Bring yourself into half forward fold. Sit down into chair pose. Stand up. Hinge forward. Put your hands on the floor. And step or walk or hop back to plank. Left knee down. Your left hand comes underneath your shoulder. Turn and open. Lift your right leg and then bend your right knee and reach your right hand towards your right ankle and connect. Your hand and your foot do not have to hold on to each other. Want a little extra oomph in your balance, you can try tucking your bottom legs, toes, your foot toes under. Nice job. Release. Take your top arm up towards the ceiling. And both hands down, both knees down. Tuck your legs underneath you, your hips move back toward your heels. Lean forward in an upward facing dog and pull back in a downward facing dog. Lift and lower your heels. Pedal out your feet. Bring yourself back into plank. Let's try the other side. Right knee down, left leg long. Walk your right hand underneath your right shoulder. Lift your top arm, lift your back leg, and then hold on. maybe. It's okay to be wobbly. It's okay to release a little early. It's okay to put your hand down for extra support. Sometimes I do that too. It's no big deal. And it's all just practice. And you release. Nice job. Both hands down. Both knees down. Hips move back toward your heels. Rock from side to side. Lift up, lean forward, upward facing dog. And pull back into downward facing dog. Lift and lower your heels. Pedal your feet. Walk your feet towards each other. Stick your right leg long back behind you. Three-legged dog. Step your right foot forward between your hands. Back heel comes down. Lift yourself into side facing warrior. Your left arm comes down. Right arm comes up and overhead. Inhale to lift. You're going to walk forward a little bit and put your right hand down onto the floor. If your right hand doesn't come all the way down to the floor, if you've got furniture around you, you could put your hand on a table. I've got this little table here. I could put my hand on the table or the bed or whatever you've got, or the wall if you're close to the wall. Let's see how we do. Step forward. This is the half moon pose. Now bend your top knee and see if your hand and your foot connect, your hand and your ankle. Release your grip if you had one. Both hands back down to the floor. Your back leg, your floating leg steps down. Step back to plank. Knees down, hips back toward your heels. Inhale to lift. Walk your hands forward. Lean into upward facing dog. Pull back into downward facing dog. Left leg stretches back. Three-legged dog. Step forward. Back heel comes down and lift yourself into side facing warrior, other side. Right arm comes down. Your left arm stretches up and over. Find a big stretch from your hip through your shoulder, through your arm. Inhale to lift. Okay. So now here's our options. If you don't want to pick up your back foot, you don't have to. And keep your back foot down. Your left arm can come on the inside of your left leg. You can start to walk forward a little. Put your left hand on the floor and lift your right leg. And now here's your option. You can bend your knee and reach your hand towards your foot, and your foot towards your hand. And they might touch and they might not. Just seeing how you do. Releasing your grip. Both hands come down. Your floating leg comes down. Put your hands down onto the floor and step back to plank. Knees down and purring and rock from side to side. Inhale to lift. Walk your hands forward. Lean into upward facing dog. Pull your hips back. Cross your legs underneath you. Sit back into boat pose. Cross your legs underneath you. Plant your hands down. Uncross your ankles and stretch into downward facing dog. Float your knees just above the floor. Stretch into downward facing dog. Float your knees just above the floor. And stretch into downward facing dog. Float your knees just above the floor. And put your knees down. Cross your ankles. Walk your hands back a little bit. The tops of your feet are on the floor. Press down into your hands and pull up and in at your belly. You can stay right like that, or you can try floating your knees off the floor with the tops of your feet on the floor. Knees down, uncross your ankles, cross them the other way, sit back in a boat pose. Cross your legs underneath you, hands down, uncross and stretch into downward facing dog. Bring your shoulders forward, float your knees just above the floor. Stretch back in a downward facing dog. Bring your shoulders forward, float your knees just above the floor. Stretch back into downward facing dog. Bring your shoulders forward, float your knees just above the floor. Place your knees down, cross your ankles the other way this time. Walk your hands back a little bit. You're pressing weight into the tops of your feet. Press down into your arms and float your knees off the floor. Knees down, uncross, cross them the other way, rock back into boat pose. Cross your legs underneath you, lean forward into upward facing dog. Bring yourself down onto your forearms, interlace your fingers, walk your legs back, and come into any variation of forearm plank that you want to. So maybe your hips are down because you'd rather have your hips down. Or maybe your hips are up. Maybe your ankles are crossed with your knees bent. Or your toes could be on the floor with your knees off the floor. Hold your forearm plank. Lower your knees down, hips down. Unclasp your hands. Bring your hands on either side of your rib cage and lower yourself a little closer down towards the floor. Lengthen your legs. Press down into your hands softly. Lift your rib cage and then float your hands off the floor. Hands down, lower your torso. Press your hands a little bit, lift your torso, float your hands, and sweep your arms back. And lower everything down. Put your hands on either side of your rib cage. Press into your hands, lift your rib cage, float your hand, sweep your arms back, and float your legs. Now lift your torso, lift your arms, lift your legs. Lift your legs, lift your arms, lift your torso. Lift your arms, lift your torso, lift your legs. And lower. Bring your hands underneath you, walk your knees towards each other, tuck your toes under, push yourself onto your knees, and tuck your legs underneath your body, and let your hips move back toward your heels and rock from side to side. Lift yourself up, put your hands on the tops of your legs, roll through your shoulders, and bring your legs out in front of you. Roll through your feet and your ankles. Scoot towards the middle of your mat, wrap your arms around your legs, bring your torso toward your thighs. Inhale to lift, put your hands on the backs of your legs and roll yourself down onto your back and make sure you've got plenty of space behind you. Um, Things haven't moved or changed. Sometimes they do. So roll back onto your back, bring your knees into your chest and draw circles. Place your right foot onto the floor and stick your left leg long up towards the ceiling, arms long down by your sides. Bring your left leg forward. Float it just above the floor and then take your right foot off the floor. Kick your right leg in towards the ceiling. Pull your left knee in and bring your right leg just above the floor. Take your left leg up towards the ceiling. Bring your right knee in. Your left leg floats just above the floor. Stick your right leg up. Pull your left knee in and drag your right leg forward till it floats just above the floor. Pull both knees in and both feet down. Walk your feet out a little bit and rock your knees left and right. Rock your head a little bit left and right. Bring your left leg long along your mat. Scoot your hips over towards the right a little bit. Bring your right knee into your chest and draw it across your body. Your knee might come all the way to the floor, or maybe you prop it up with your elbow. Maybe you stick your leg long. You've got lots of options here. Your right shoulder, if you want more rotation, stretchy kind of sensation across the right side of your body, keep your right shoulder down and let the weight of your right leg help stretch that part of your body. If you want a little relief from that sensation, pick up your shoulder and bring your arm across your body and lighten the sensation. When you're ready, roll back onto your back, both legs long. Inhale and squeeze up your fists, your face, your hips, your shoulders, your glutes, your feet. Squeeze, 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 squeeze. Exhale and release. Now we're doing the other side. Right leg goes long along your mat. Left knee comes in towards your torso. Move it around a little bit. Then roll your leg across your body over to the side. And again, your knee might come to the floor. Your opposite shoulder might stay planted down on the floor or lift. You could prop your knee up with your right forearm, your right elbow. You can stick your left leg long. Got lots of options. You don't have to do just one option. You can do multiple options. Give yourself time to stretch in this deepest twist that we do, this rotation. When you're ready, rolling back onto your back. Straighten out your head, your rib cage, your pelvis, your legs, and gather in your legs. And this is happy baby. You can hold on to your feet or your legs or your big toes. Sometimes people do different things, different kind of holds. You can hold the outside edges of your feet and encourage your knees to come a little closer towards your torso. But sometimes people don't like to stick their feet up in the air. That's perfectly fine too. You can keep your feet on the floor and just wiggle around. We're just stretching out our hips and our low back for in preparation for resting. You can do anything you like, with different variations, different type of movement. That's fine. And then gradually start to stretch yourself out into your favorite resting position. And you rest the way you want. If holding stillness is not appropriate for you, then move. It's fine. If if laying on your stomach is better, or if sitting up is better for you, then do that. Fine. And this is our resting time together. But maybe you would like to rest for longer than this. If you would, you can, hit pause, or you can come back later and finish with me or not. You could turn this resting time into your meditation practice. And there's if you've got the time and the inclination, then you can use our practice today as a beginning of more practice, something that is special to you, meaningful to you, a way that you can better support yourself. Keep breathing, Keep offering yourself this position of uh, intention for rest, for taking care of yourself, for your well being, focusing on your well being. If you're ready, you can start to wiggle your fingers and your toes. You can start to roll through your wrists and your ankles. You can move through your shoulders and your hips. Again, you can stay resting as long as you want to. You are not ready yet, or if you feel like you would benefit from longer resting time, go right ahead. If you're up with me, you can rub your hands together and pull your thumbs toward your sternum, tuck your elbows in at your side. Now notice from inside out, notice your energy. How do you feel? Your thoughts and your emotions. And then acknowledge your body, position of your body, sensations of your body. And acknowledge your environment, the place that you're in, looking above and below and to the sides of you. Acknowledge yourself, offer yourself some gratitude for making time to practice today, for giving yourself the support and for continuing on with your practice. And make a promise to yourself that you'll practice again soon, um, that you'll keep giving yourself these opportunities to take care of yourself and to increase and become more aware of your strength and your balance and your flexibility and all the things that you want for your life. Thank you so much. Thanks for practicing with me today. I appreciate it so much. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day and I look forward to seeing you again soon. Please contact us at comebackyoga.org if you have any questions or if you need anything, and please come back again soon. Take care.